Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig Sports. Today is Friday, January 28th, and this is the NBA DFS video for today. So in today's video, going to be taking a quick look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out, talking about the injuries in play for tonight's slate. It is an 11-game slate overall, and then going over my picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for tonight's slate as well. But without further ado, we'll get into it with a recap of yesterday's picks. So we're going to start off on the DraftKings side. We have Malik Monk at point guard, $4,500. Look for 22, 23 points out of him. Got to 26.5, so he was a hit. Shooting guard, we had Klay Thompson, $5,300. Looking for 26, 27 points out of him. He got to 37.75, so he was a really good hit yesterday. Then at small forward, we had Matisse Thybulle, $3,600. Only looking for 18 points out of him. He got to 23 yesterday, so he was a good hit as well. Then at power forward, it went with Jared Vanderbilt, $5,500. Earlier on in the day, had Tobias Harris, but he was dealing with an illness. If you would have stuck with him, he still would have done pretty well. But Jared Vanderbilt, we were looking for about 27, 28 points time. He got to 26.5, so he's a miss, but it just missed at that, so not really one that killed you overall. And then last but not least, we had Joel Embiid at center, $11,400. Looking for 57 points time. He got to 51.75, so he was a miss. You know, not the worst miss in the world, but still a guy that got you over 50 points, but just kind of unfortunate that Anthony Davis and Karl Anthony Towns both had slightly better days on yesterday's slate, but still one of the top point scorers overall on the slate. So definitely not the worst play in the world, but definitely could have been a little bit better as well. But with that being said, we were 3 for 5 on the DraftKings side. If you stuck with Tyrese Maxey, who I did have in my core earlier on in the day, that would have been a good benefit for your lineup as well, since he did do pretty well last night. Then we move over to the FanDuel side. We had Russell Westbrook, who was kind of my pivot here once LeBron James was not playing, $7,800. Looking for 39 points out. He got 29.3, so he was a miss. Mainly just scored the ball yesterday. He had 6 turnovers once again. Russell Westbrook's a big turnover guy, which is not the best on the FanDuel side. So, you know, you could have done a lot better than Russell Westbrook. If you stuck with Tyrese Maxey, you were probably pretty happy yesterday. Then at shooting guard, we have Malik Monk, $4,400. Looking for 22 points out. He got to 26.3, so he was a hit. Matisse Thybulle, once again, $4,300. Got to 27.4 on the FanDuel side. He was a hit as well. Then power forward, we had Kevon Looney, $4,900. Looking for 24, 25 points out. He got to 16.7. He was a mess. Only ended up playing 24 minutes in this game. Thought he'd be closer to, 29, 30. Just didn't quite get there yesterday. And even with Karl Anthony Towns playing well, Looney just wasn't out there enough to really matter for DFS purposes at the very least. Then last but not least, we had Joel Embiid, $11,400 once again. Got to 52.3 points, so he was a miss. Probably not a miss that completely killed you overall since he was still over 50 points. But, if you would have went with Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, somebody like that, probably was a little bit better for you yesterday. So 2 out of 5 on the FanDuel side, 3 out of 5 on the DraftKings side, 5 out of 10 overall. If you stuck with Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris, who I did have earlier on in the day, probably looked a little bit better as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over into the injuries and play for tonight's slate. So once again, this is an 11-game slate. So it looks like we only have one game tipping off at 7 o'clock and then 2 games tipping off right at 7:30. So could be an interesting little slate in that regard. But we'll start off with the Detroit Pistons, who are without Isaiah Livers. Jeremy Grant is now questionable. He has not played in quite some time. Kelly Olynyk and Josh Jackson, both listed as game time decisions. I believe Josh Jackson is questionable at this point in time, so I will assume Kelly Olynyk's kind of questionable as well. For the Orlando Magic, Michael Carter-Williams, RJ Hampton, Jonathan Isaac, Etuan Moore, all listed out, and then Markelle Fultz listed as doubtful for tonight, so no changes there. Boston Celtics just without Bobo, so no changes at all. The Atlanta Hawks are all the way healthy at this point in time. For the Los Angeles Lakers, Kendrick Nunn's out, and then it looks like LeBron James and Anthony Davis are both questionable at this point in time. I would assume that LeBron James does play tonight. I will not be surprised if Anthony Davis does end up missing this game on the back-to-back, though. For the Charlotte Hornets, they're without Gordon Hayward and Jalen McDaniels once again, and then Kelly Oubre listed as questionable to play with a sore ankle. Moving down to the Denver Nuggets, who are without Kankar, Murray, and Porter, so no changes there. For the Pelicans, they're without Zion Williamson, Didi Lozada, and Trey Murphy, so those 3 were out the last time as well. And then we got Brandon Ingram and Josh Hart, both listed as questionable. We'll see if they play tonight or not. For the Portland Trailblazers, they're without Damian Lillard, Nazir Little, Larry Nance, and Cody Zeller. And then CJ Ellaby is doubtful to play tonight. Dennis Smith Jr. and Robert Covington, both listed as questionable. So maybe a little bit of value on this Trailblazers team. We'll just have to see as the night moves along. For the Houston Rockets, they're just without Usman Garoba and John Wall, so no changes there. For the Clippers, they're without Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Marcus Morris, and Jay Preston. So pretty much what we saw the last time out of them. Obviously, Morris not playing obviously affects things just a little bit as well. We've seen guys like Coffey and Kennard play really well as of late, so definitely a couple guys to look at on tonight's slate. For the Miami Heat, they're without Kyle Lowry, Markieff Morris, KZ Okpala, Victor Oladipo, Chris Silva, and now Jimmy Butler is listed as questionable in this game. We'll see if he plays tonight or not. If he doesn't end up playing, obviously, a guy like Tyler Hero could get some more value. Bam Adebayo is obviously going to look a lot better as well. For the Pacers, they're without Malcolm Brogdon, TJ McConnell, Miles Turner, and TJ Warren. Domantas Sabonis listed as questionable to play tonight. I still assume that he's not back at this point in time, but we'll just have to see. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're without Derek Favors and Vic Krevich, so no changes there. For the Utah Jazz, they're without Rudy Gobert once again. Then Donovan Mitchell and Trent Forrest, both listed as questionable. We'll see if Mitchell's back tonight or not. No real indication there, but we'll just have to see. Then for the Memphis Grizzlies, Kyle Anderson, Dylan Brooks, and Tyus Jones all listed out, so no changes there. For the Chicago Bulls, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, Derek Jones, and Patrick Williams are all out once again. Pretty much the same thing that we did see the last time out. San Antonio Spurs are just without Keta Bates-Diop once again, so no changes there at all. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, Patrick Beverly listed as questionable. D'Angelo Russell, this is a game-time decision. He did end up with a shin contusion last night, so we'll see if he plays or not. Obviously, if both these guys miss, there could be a little bit of value opening up for this Timberwolves team overall. For the Phoenix Suns, they're without DeAndre Ayton, Jay Crowder, Frank Kaminsky, JaVale McGee, Abdul Nader, Cam Payne, and Dario Saric once again, so the exact same as the last time out. So could be a little bit of value there, but probably not too much since we did see it the last time out as well, and some guys have had their price tags come up. For the New York Knicks, they're without Derrick Rose, and then Ryan Arcidiacono and Nerlens Noel both listed as questionable for tonight's game. For the Milwaukee Bucks, they're without Brook Lopez and Lindell Wigginton, and then we have Wesley Matthews, Grayson Allen, both listed as questionable. Grayson Allen did miss the last 2 games out. Last time out, it was due to suspension. The time before that, it was due to a hip injury, so we'll see if he plays tonight or not. Rodney Hood listed as a game-time decision, but expected to play, so nothing too crazy there for the Milwaukee Bucks overall, mainly if Grayson Allen plays or not. Otherwise, I do assume Pat Connaughton is probably going to be in that starting lineup once again. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate. Definitely going to be a few that we're looking out for throughout the day. But as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates, COVID news, and starting lineups down in the comments. So definitely be sure you're checking that out throughout the day, especially as we get closer to locks. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my picks over there. So at the point guard position, we got Jaylen Noel, $4,000, looking for 20 points out, averaging 16 on the season. D'Angelo Russell banged up, Patrick Beverly banged up. If both those two end up missing tonight, Jaylen Noel is probably going to look like a pretty solid value overall. Has a little bit of upside for more, but not too much. And the names that I do have in this core at this point in time are definitely names that could change throughout the day. So Jaylen Noel could be in that group as well. At shooting guard, we got Luke Kennard, $4,500, looking for 22, 23 points out, averaging 22 points on the season. He's been playing rather well as of late. Currently, I'm projected for 24 points tonight. Still no Marcus Morris, still no Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, you name it. So Luke Kennard, been playing well. Probably going to have to play well once again tonight if this Clippers team wants to have a chance in tonight's game. Then a small forward, we're going with Franz Wagner, $5,600, looking for 28 points out, averaging almost 29 on the season. Got him projected for about 29, 30 points tonight. Definitely has pretty good upside as we've seen the last time out. Going against the Pistons should be a good matchup as well. So Franz Wagner, definitely somebody I'm looking at on tonight's slate overall. Then at power forward, going to Keldon Johnson, $5,100, looking for 25, 26 points out. Currently, I'm projected for 26, 27 points, averaging over 27 on the season. He's been playing very, very well as of late. He's been over that mark the last 4 games. So Keldon Johnson against the Chicago Bulls, a team that likes to play a little bit smaller, definitely could be a good matchup for him as well. Then last but not least, we got Mr. Old Reliable, Jakob Poeltl at that center position, $6,400. Been playing out of his mind as of late. Looking for 32 points out, averaging 33 on the season. Just a super, super good price tag at this point in time. Currently, I'm projected for 35, 36 points tonight, but he does offer a little bit of upside for more as we've seen in recent games. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players on the DraftKings side, you have $24,400 remaining, just over $8,100 per player. So if you want to pay up for a stud, you can definitely do that. Then plug and play some other values along with them. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced approach, that's perfectly fine as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my picks over there as well. So we're going to start off at the point guard position. I'm going back to Mike Conley, $5,800, looking for 29 points out. I'm averaging 28 on the season. If Donovan Mitchell still does not play in tonight's game, Mike Conley looking like a good value. Still haven't projected for 30 points. Don't need to say too much as it's something I've been repeating for quite some time. Then at shooting guard, we got Zach LaVine, $7,500, looking for 38 points out of him. He's averaging about 37.5 on the season so far. Since he's been back in this starting lineup, he's been over 40 points a game. Don't really have too many concerns here with him. Kind of taking on a de facto point guard role when Kobe White's not out there on the floor. So Zach LaVine, somebody I definitely do have a lot of interest in tonight. Then a small forward, we're going with Amir Coffey. Probably a guy that I didn't really think I was going to be playing much of this year, but $4,700. Looking for 23, 24 points out. He's been playing very well as of late. Currently having projected for 26 points. The Clippers are going to need guys like him, Luke Kennard, a couple others just to stay in this game. So Amir Coffey definitely going to play a bigger role once again tonight. Then at power forward, we got Bobby Portis, $6,300, kind of my other Mr. Reliable at this point in time. Looking for 32 points out. I'm averaging 31.5 points on the season. And I currently have him projected for 32 points. In terms of power forwards, there's not a lot of guys that I like today. Bobby Portis was one that did stand out, though. Then last but not least, we have Nikola Jokic at that center position, $11,300. Looking for 57 points out. Essentially was averaging on the season. So Nikola Jokic, definitely a guy that has a ton of upside on any given slate, but definitely looking like one of the better center values overall on the FanDuel side tonight. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players on the FanDuel side, you have $24,400 remaining, $6,100 per player. So definitely going to have to get a little creative here. Maybe you can pay up for a couple of positions, pay down for a couple of positions if there is some value that opens up throughout the day. But definitely a good core 5 to start with when you're building on the FanDuel side. But with that being said, these are my picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, January 28th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you guys as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate, whether it's on FanDuel or DraftKings. Heck, if you want to talk a little bit of Super Draft, we can do that as well. JC Monday Design and myself will be going live on his channel to talk about the NBA DFS main slate for Super Draft. And then once we are done with that, we'll be talking some Super Draft Pro for the Charlotte Hornets and the Los Angeles Lakers Super Draft Pro contest. So definitely be sure you're checking that out. I'll leave the link in the comments down below as well. And then, as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates, COVID news, and starting lineups as that does become available throughout the day. I'll also have my updated core posted about a half hour or an hour before lock. If there's any major changes to it between that time, I will also update that accordingly as well. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS, whether it's NBA or NFL, helping you with your fantasy football teams. And then with that being said, if you're a newer current subscriber who's yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily NBA DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.